Hey there, welcome to my new and revamped weekly author update and also challenges. Because I'm going to give myself a challenge or two and I'm going to give you a challenge or two by the end of this. Okay, so first off, I want to read the last 100 words that I wrote. Okay, I'm going to do this every time. It's in my project that I'm about to give you specifics on. Chapter 19. Sophia set the small serving plate on the counter near the sink, tapping the volume of her earbud a little higher. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. I told you he would get better fast. Mom's voice had to contend with Cole and Oscar, chatting and bickering as they helped Sophia clean up after dinner. Sophia almost had the volume maxed out. Your father's very healthy and it was just a cold. Yeah, a cold that lasted nearly a week. Sophia pointed at the sink, covering the earbud as she spoke to Oscar. Rinse the plate, then put it in the dishwasher. Sounds like you're cleaning up, Mom said. Okay, so it's slice of life, right? It's actually a romance. So let's get into what I'm working on and where we're at for kind of these projects. The current project is to create a romance series. That's right. I am branching into the romance world. Why? Well, because if you are familiar with the Finding Home quadrilogy, 4-book series, 2 of them are actually free on audiobook on this very channel. The last 2 are not done yet. They're not even started yet. Anyway, that's something I need to add to my projects. Later. Here we go. The last book is really pretty much a full-on romance. It's a pretty, romance books are, sometimes they get a raw deal or they get underhyped. There are some pretty kind of cotton candy type ones, yes, but I am familiar with some romance writers who write really complex, interesting characters, and they're writing, seriously interesting conflicts, things that are pushing and pulling these people apart. I had a great time writing Carry Your Heart, the final book in the Finding Home series, and it's a pure romance, and I loved it, and I feel like it's very effective as a romance. You could just read it alone, and you would find yourself quite satisfied by the romance. Read the whole series, of course, too, but whatever. So I thought, well, I liked that so much. Why didn't I write some romance? They tend to be a little bit shorter, and my first one I got done last year, way later than I meant to. And it was shorter. This one's the one I'm about to hopefully finish real soon, is going to be a little longer than the first one. That's okay, though. It'll probably be about 75,000 words or so. I'm going to try to keep it under 75, but we'll see. So the second one is at 47, almost 48,000 words. I'm actually going to try to finish it next week. I know that's a lot, me trying to write about 30,000 words in a week, but I know I can do that. I have stopped teaching. I still have plenty of things on my plate when it comes to the home, getting people where they need to be. I've got a college student I have to get to school and from school every day. I've got an 8th grader I need to do the same for every day, and those times just don't line up, which is frustrating, but that's okay. I'm going to try to finish this second book, first draft, by the end of next week. By the end of this week. What am I saying? So on Monday next week, when the next weekly update video goes up, I'm hoping to be able to say first draft's done. And then I'm going to try to draft the next one as fast as possible. I need to get a quick outline of it just to get some character ideas and some conflicts there. They're called medical romances, these ones. My twist is that it's actually between patient and caregiver, which is a huge taboo. And for good ethical reasons, it's not really allowed. But I'm really enjoying exploring how these people can make a lasting love and relationship work, despite that taboo that they have to find their way around, and not like duplicitously either. So it's been a good challenge for me to try to figure that out. And it requires character sacrifice, and love should take sacrifice. So I'm really enjoying it. They feel meaningful. They feel chewy, like there's a lot to them, and also fun. Okay, it's really fun to write angsty scenes, guys. I really enjoy it. Trying to do it in a way that's true to me and also true to what the story needs and the characters are doing. So that's pretty cool. Again, the goal is get this one drafted by the end of the week. Motorin, right? Okay, so the next project that you've heard a lot about is the Dragonscale Posse. There's nothing going on with it right now because I have been trying to focus on the romance thing, but I've also been not getting enough done. I am going to be finishing the outline for the trilogy. Book 1 is done, really done. Once I've got the outline for the whole trilogy done, I'll go back and just make any final adjustments to book 1, and I'll start drafting book 2 and 3. I'm excited about this. I want to get more excited about it, and I know I will as I get the outline done. Some of the work that I get to do to prepare those outlines is I get to read the book of Revelations, and I get to read and study up on Native American mythology and lore, and also Mexican mythology and lore from where I live right now was part of Mexico. I think it's rad. It's really fun, and it all works inside of this world. It's exciting to do, and so I'm excited to get that outline done, followed by a final adjustment to the first book, and then drafting the second and third books. I am considering seeing if a smaller publisher will pick up this series for me. They're squeaky clean. They're pretty violent. Some of my books could be even termed ultra violent. Not as hardcore violent as like Larry Correia's books, but they're pretty violent books. But there's also, they're not ultra violent. They're pretty violent though. So it's hard sometimes, I feel like, to find a publisher who will publish what I'm writing, which is, really good coming of age heroic adventures, but they're also pretty violent. So we'll see how it goes. I would really like to get that whole trilogy outlined and written by the end of this year, and have a decision made because maybe somebody's picked it up or has accepted it as to publish it, or I've just decided to do it myself. Excited about that one. There's also a project that I've been sitting on for a while that's done, the memoir. I would like to put together enough money to pay an editor who really knows what they're doing and who specializes in memoir to read it and give me some work to do on it to make sure it's as good as it can be. I wouldn't mind sending that. I hate the process of sending it around, but I'd like to try one more time after a good editor has really laid eyes on it. And if that final pass or final round of sending it around to agents and stuff doesn't go anywhere, such is life. I'll do it myself. I may have to run a bit of a Kickstarter to have the funds in order to give it its due. The memoir is really good, and it's really resonant for a wide audience, even though it's this niche area of growing up in a cult. The coming of age is universal. The cult setting is very interesting and very true crimey, and also people are kind of into cults, I guess, which is dumb. But, I don't want to judge people who are into cults. I shouldn't say that. Just don't join a cult. Learn about them, that's fine. Just don't join a cult. Okay, there's also a grown-up fantasy book. So I have a friend who said I should write a grown-up fantasy book and submit it to a place that I've been wanting to kind of work with for a long time. And I write YA. So I was struggling to find something, and then I realized I needed to stop thinking about my audience and have that blocking my ideas for what this could be. And I immediately got some cool ideas, and I'm going to tell you what they are. Do you know who Pat Garrett is? Pat Garrett is the guy who shot Billy the Kid in the back. And you can see that in the second Young Guns movie, actually, I believe it is. Really interesting. There's also, I think there was even another movie or two that it's an interesting, piece of Western American lore. Well, mine is Pat Garrett Demon Slayer. I know that's my name, Garrett, right? I don't care though. There's some really cool stuff I can do there, especially inside even of the universe that I'm creating in kind of an urban fantasy Old West. Flintlock fantasy, is that what you call that stuff? I don't even know. What do you call Old West fantasy? Because modern fantasy is set in the world that we live in is urban fantasy. Anyway, I'm excited about that one, and I'm going to start writing some notes down. I have some notes. I want to put some more notes down and see how far I can get this year. I'm having an ambitious year. I'm going to tell you some more. So I also have a thriller conceived. I actually talked this out with my wife because I needed some legal advice on it, actually. And I have wanted to write something that I have read. I read a lot of thrillers. I still read thrillers, Ludlum, Coons. Coons, of course, paranormal in some ways. I like Clive Cussler, Baldacci. I like these books. James Patterson, back when he was writing really, really good, hard-hitting books like the Alex Cross series. I love those books. And plenty more, okay? Plenty more. I want to write one. But mine's going to be different from what I've ever written, so it might need a new pen name. By the way, my romance stuff is going to be under a pen name as well. I'll tell you what it is. It is J.G. Nathan. Anyway, but the thriller, I'm really excited about writing it. It's going to be different from anything I've written because there's going to be swears and there's going to be really serious subjects and scenes, and there's going to be a lot of dying by the hand of a very pissed off father. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. Ask me and I'll tell you some more. I was thinking about putting my very first novel through the editing ringer on my end and then putting it up on Vella on Amazon, but Vella's being closed down. I think it might be closed down. I might see if there's some other thing I can do with that. I might start Patreon again and publish that on Patreon for subscribers. It's actually a really good story and a really neat world that I would hate to just ignore for the rest of my writing career. We'll see how that goes. I have several short stories that I've written. One is kind of dumb, but I enjoyed writing it. It's about these two Peruvian girls from, ancient time or more older times who get transported through a thunderfloor, which is a real thing, by the way, to modern, I forget the city they're in, Lima, maybe. And they need to get home. And the way they do that is by dancing on a DDR game. Let's go. It's a little absurd, but fun. But I also have my story about a guy who gets granted the power to fly from an alien, and I've got a couple of other short stories. I'm going to try to find some places I can submit these. So I've got, kind of a silly fantasy. I've got my superhero fantasy, and I've got a couple of other short stories again I'd like to submit. If you have any suggestions for the market, I'd love to know where I should do that. And I think I would like to write one or two more short stories. I've got some ideas. Other projects, I'm learning digital advertising. I'm going to spend at least a couple of hours a week starting next week on this. Because I want to focus laser-like on finishing this draft. I already did this last year. I want to do some more. I've got plenty more coursework that I've got available to me, and I'm considering trying to find a mentor who I can pay. I have a couple of other book ideas. I won't talk about them today. One is, I won't talk about them too specifically. One is kind of an older, they're both set in kind of an older time, but they're both historical fiction, and one's a romance. I'm working on my physical fitness. I am turning 51 this year. This last year, I started a serious regimen of lifting weights. Unfortunately, I let myself take too many breaks, but I made a lot of progress. I have muscles where I can see them now, which is really nice, but I didn't lose the extra, jiggly stuff that I wanted to lose, the weight. So I'm focusing on losing that while still building some muscle, focusing on my macros, focusing on my sleep, and really there's a lot of protein involved in that, and a lot of hydration. Boy, oh boy. My doctor suggested I try a med, not Ozempic, don't worry, just something to keep the metabolism going faster. I tried it, I hated it. It was phentermine, I hated it. And lastly, I have some events. I have quite a few that I'm thinking about trying, but here are a couple that I've got scheduled. I'll be at LTUE February 13th through 15th. I've got quite a big schedule there. I'm excited about that. I'll also be selling books at StoryCon February 21st to 22nd. You will also be able to see me at the Orem City Farmers Markets at least once a month from May through October. I've got Writers Con in July, Writers Canteen, in July, which is fun. I'll be at LDS PMA, at least I'm trying to be at LDS PMA this October. I'm going to see if I can be at Dragonscale Nexus in a couple of years. And there is also this really great fun event called Christmas Makers Market at the Sarah, which I did in December, just a few weeks ago, and it went really well. It was fun too. It was freaking cold. I am very likely going to be at FanX. It went well enough for it to, despite how expensive it was. I've applied and I haven't heard back. We'll see if I get in there. Anyway, those are my events for the year. Okay, so right now my book, which is called Plus One, this medical romance, is at 47,900 words. I expect to get it to about 75,000 as a finished count. I will get that done this week. And if I don't, it'll be because something weird, crazy happened. I will not let my focus go on it, though. I don't want to be up till 1 or 2 in the morning every night, though. So I got to get into it. So I got to finish this video. I'm going to give you a challenge as well. Today is Tuesday. My next video goes up on Monday. If you're watching this and you're an author and you're stuck, I want you to try this. I want you to put a timer on your phone or your computer for 5 to 15 minutes and say, I'm going to write whatever the frick I want with no editing. I'm just going to write something, and it's maybe in the world I'm writing or the project I'm on, or I just want to write something new about maybe my friend Steven or a dog named Steven. I don't even know. I want to challenge you to do a sprint if you're struggling and stuck. If you're not stuck and you're just, not being as productive as you want, my challenge for you is write 5,000 words by the time my next video goes up, okay? 5,000 words, you've got 6 days. 5 days if you don't write on Sunday. I don't write on Sunday. And then I have a writing freebie. My writing freebie is a writing prompt, but I'm calling it a freebie because I want you to see it as a free write. Okay? I'm not going to do this, but just to see if you want to try this out. I want you to write Romeo and Juliet a happy ending. How could they have lived happily ever after if written differently? Now, we've seen things like this before, and Romeo and Juliet is not a star-crossed lover story. It's simply a tragedy, right? If you know the story, you know it's just a pure tragedy. Write it in the world that it's in, but write or an outline or just put some notes down about how they could have lived happily ever after if things had been different, if people made different choices, but still Montague and Capulet hate each other. I love this work. I love writing, and let's just see if we can work together, make a bit of a community to build each other up and to kick some ass, right? Also, let me give a quick plug. I have another YouTube channel called Jared Garrett's Cool Stuff. I do these short tidbit videos. They're YouTube shorts, and I also put them on Reels on Instagram and on TikTok, where I just do these minute-long videos about mostly language, but also historical tidbits and other things like that. Check it out, subscribe, share, and let any author you know that they should tune into these videos so that we can build kind of some momentum together. My problem last year was that I ran out of steam in February and really struggled to pick it back up. I got it going again in about October or November, and I've been able to go strong since then. I don't want to run out of steam, and I think together we can make sure we don't run out of steam. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you next time.